Welcome to WellPlayed Talkthrough. My name is Zach Jackson, and with me from WellPlayed is Ash Whaling.
G'day, guys.
And Nathan Hennessy. This is Talkthrough, where we invite a developer onto the show to talk to us through a slice of their game. And today I'm very, very excited to welcome Warhorse's Prokop.
Yeah. Hey, guys.
And Toby.
What's up?
Guys, thank you so much for being here. We're really, really excited to have you on the show. It's been a long time in the works, so thank you so much for coming on and taking the time to chat with us all things Kingdom Come Deliverance II. Ash, before we get you going, just give us a little bit of a run as to where you're at.
So, at this point in the story, Henry has had an absolutely rotten start to his very simple journey. He's supposed to be delivering a message. However, his entire group has been slaughtered and he's managed to slink away with his protectorate. And now he's finished recovering and they're going to try and reach the Lord Burkov and deliver the message, but they still need to get there first. So, that's what we're watching right now.
Amazing. So you've played about 4 hours. You said before we hit record. What if you had to give us one sentence of your thoughts so far?
Dense, a good kind of dense, a dense, responsive RPG with lots of buttons and lots of systems, and I've barely scratched the surface, even after 4 hours. So,
excellent.
Accurate.
All right, Prokop and Toby, while we kind of watch this little cinematic here, how are you guys? How's life in Prague?
Well, life is good. We are preparing for Gamescom that is next week. So while you guys are just starting Kingdom Come Deliverance, we are already working and preparing the release of the second DLC. So that's a big thing. It will be addressing, I guess, the most asked feature or part of the game, so that's good. So we are really looking forward to that. And other than that, KCD did good, does good, maybe even better than expected. So we are on a wave, and that's good. Prokop, how do you feel?
Yeah, basically you described it very correctly. We had like a big release of KCD behind us already. It's like it's been quarter of a year, wasn't it?
Mm.
And it's going well so far. So we're preparing more additions to the game, either paid DLCs or some free additions, as we always do. And I personally am enjoying the reactions of the community very much. It's really so nice to see, after 6 years of development, to finally see that players are really enjoying it. And especially our community, it's so nice that the people there on all the social medias are so welcoming, so friendly, so much enjoying the game and the history and everything. It's not that often that the community is so friendly. I'm very grateful for that.
What?
Absolutely, I can second that. It's really interesting to see how not only how fans being fans, of course, but how strongly they identify with the game and how much they invest into it and into the lore and into the community overall. And nothing bad about KCD1, but KCD2 is just made so much bigger waves and is reaching to the furthest corner of the world, and especially Australia, for instance, where there was a dude building the very castle we are looking at right now here, Trotsky Castle, out of some like model stuff, and he's from Australia. So
Wow,
that is amazing. So we are humbled, and yeah.
Do you know who that was? Because I love diorama building and I follow a couple of people. It wasn't Luke Townsend, was it?
I'm not currently sure 100%. Let me look it up for you, and I will get back to you in a second.
Thank you.
I just wanted to touch on quickly just about, I guess, the reception that you've had with this game. I mean, I'm just having a quick look here. Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, it's got a 76 on Metacritic, which is still, that's pretty good for a first game,
very.
a debut. and it started off as a Kickstarter, right? If my memory is correct on that, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, so that's that's a pretty good score, and then we hit this one here, we got an 88. So we've definitely improved critically. But I want to read you very, very quickly because Nathan, for us, he actually did the review of Kingdom Come. He scored it a 9. So I want to quickly read you just some words from his review and just sort of tell us about just the reception in general, but also just hearing praise from critics and just how that makes it all kind of feel just a bit worth it. So what we call here the final thoughts. So he says, Warhorse has been quietly cooking up the greatest first-person role-playing series of the last however many years. It overhauls little from the first game, instead improving on everything that made it such an ambitious, unwieldy beast. The fact this sequel builds upon everything I loved means it's a sequel that improves more than innovates. Make no mistake, there are glimmers of a masterclass, action-packed role-playing game here that has me thrilled for whatever Warhorse has in store next. Kingdom Come Deliverance should now be regarded alongside greats like Oblivion and New Vegas.
He saw our message and it's sealed. How terribly
Well, that's high praise.
Thank you. Honestly, it's yeah.
Yeah, look, it's worth a congratulations to the team. Like, it is quite a remarkable game, and the fact that it landed so early in the year, we're more than halfway through the year, and it's still consistently in the critical discussion for as a Game of the Year contender. So it'll be exciting to see how it shapes up at the end of the year. It's still very much at the front of people's minds.
Yeah, but we want to stay really humble here. So first of all, we are not doing games for the awards. It's of course great if someone awards you for something, or someone thinks that the product you're working on is award worthy. But 2025 is being such a strong year after some not so strong years maybe. So that I think the end of the year or award season that is starting like any second now, any day, will be extremely interesting. What I found, think is the most, two things I find really extraordinary. The one thing is that of course for gamers it's a great year. So usually, almost no matter what genre you like, you're in for a treat, and you have something big in there for you specifically. And the other thing is, I feel like this year is like the year of the non-established game devs, kinda, and established is the wrong word, like
the year of the underdog.
Well, yeah, underdog. Also, underdog is maybe not the right word, but it's the year of the not usual suspects. So that is maybe interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and by the way, that YouTube channel is called Jazza, Jazza, and he was building Trotsky Castle. Like he said it was the biggest model he ever did. So I want to believe him. Great.
Okay, well, we'll check that one out because he's a staple in our house.
As the gentleman wishes.
Prokop,
how do you feel about this year? Well, you are a huge gamer, way bigger than me.
Yeah, I play everything. But yeah, as you said, there was some very, very good games, like even like the big AAA. Well, at least feeling like a big AAA games. I loved Expedition 33. But there's going to be even more smaller games. For example, I'm really looking forward to the new Anno games. Right now Titan Quest 2 just released in early access. As you said, many genres and many really cool games that you can try. So yeah, I'm enjoying this year a lot.
Other than Kingdom Come
2025 is The King is Watching, which is like this tower defense indie game, really, really great. I heavily recommend. I'm hooked.
What's been your favorite games of this year other than Kingdom Come 2?
Never mind a visit to the baths and the tailor.
Well, King is Watching. That's my summer tip. So. Little indie game.
So far for me it's Death Stranding 2. I just kind of like that weird, Kojima thing. But yeah, I really like strategy games as well, so I'm really looking forward for the new Anno game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's also high on my list.
Going back to Rattoi?
So, touching on Kingdom Come 2, I would love to know, so just kind of based on, those, what we saw in like the review scores, not that scores mean everything, but there's clearly been an improvement. You've improved the whole experience. I guess as one of the main or lead designers on the project, what kind of did you focus on to help, I guess, improve the overall experience? Like, what were some of the key things that you took away from the original?
And everything will be fine again.
Sure. So from the beginning, we knew that the general direction of Kingdom Come 1 was good. We were validated that this is the kind of a game that people want. So our main focus was to just do the things we did, just do them way better. And it's a lot of polishing mainly, because a lot of the systems were a little crude. And that means not only the systems, but the visual quality, but not only like the general visual quality of environment, but also like the systems that goes into cutscenes or to the dialogues. And we put a heavy focus on the technical quality of the game, because we felt that that's something that really hurt KCD1 on release. So we really knew that we did something generally good. We just did our utmost we could to polish the type of game we really tried to make. So that was the general idea.
And I think, if I may add something, so exactly as Prokop said, I think KCD1 has shown that the concept or the type of RPG we are imagining, or how we interpret RPGs, is something that has an audience and is appreciated. In KCD1, when the reviews came in back in the days, people were praising different things. One liked the combat, others liked the exploring and the dialogues and whatnot. But the reviews were all over the place, right? So it was really hard to pinpoint what exactly is the part that people like or don't like and so on. The only thing that everyone unitedly agreed on was that it was kind of buggy in the beginning. So we tried extremely hard to make KCD2 build upon the basic of what it stands for, but make it more accessible, feel nicer, smoother, without dumbing down anything or so, but just really make it feel better when you play it, more straightforward and so on. And I hope we nailed that, and so far people agree on that.
And I also think that it's like the validation of the genre in a way. Just as Baldur's Gate 3 shown, I think there's mainstream gamers do appreciate complex systems. That's something that was risky from us to do, because everybody always said that if you want to target mainstream, you have to be as casual as possible, or closer to the casual audience. And I think that we got validated that even the mainstream players do appreciate that. They they can absorb complex systems and get rewarded for that.
But then again, you don't have to, right? So the KCD offers you all the systems and all the deep RPG things. You can go like really hardcore role-playing, immersive medieval game. But if you don't care for that, if you just want to like really enjoy, hey, it's an RPG with knights and castles and a bit of fighting and whatnot, then that's totally fine. I think the beauty in the game is that it allows you as a player to really role-play it. Because I think many role-playing, that's this philosophical question, what's a role-playing game, right? Or what defines a role-playing game? The way we define it, or the way we generally interpret RPGs, is that you as a player have the power to really shape the plot in a way, definitely the main character, so he is what you decide, you push the buttons, and most of the quests you face and most of the problems you deal with are solvable in several ways, without us necessarily telling us exactly, hey, do this, go there, but almost it's not a sandbox, but almost give you this like freedom, or definitely give you that freedom of choice, and hey, do whatever you think is right or wrong here, and find your own eventually creative solutions. So this immersiveness us trying to really suck you into this world is hopefully what defines us as a studio and what we want to do also for all the future projects. Be immersive, authentic, or often story-driven, and so on.
I would love to know, just to touch on what Prokop said just before, about kind of like the polishing. I just would, did developing for a newer generation of consoles, because Kingdom Come 1, that obviously came to PS4 and Xbox One and that. With this one, it didn't. So did that make it a little bit easier to kind of get a better like performance? I'm going to assume yes, because the hardware's better. So
Yeah, the hardware is better, but you are targeting like a better visuals with the new project. So I don't think it was easier. It's definitely not my expertise. It was mostly done by our code department. But based on the conversations I had with them, or just hearing them curse, I don't think it was easier. You know, because especially in this generation, the hardware from the different consoles are widely different performance-wise. So it's really hard to optimize for the weaker hardware, and while keeping the fidelity for the better performing hardware. Because some things you can scale down easily or easier, resolution, frame rate. You can scale it down. But you can't, for example, scale down the number of NPCs present in the city. Because then you would have basically two games that you would have to test separately, and you don't have the manpower for that. So some things can't be scaled down as easy as other things. So it was actually a huge challenge for our code department. And honestly, if any guy from our code department is hearing this podcast, kudos to you guys.
One thing to be added here, though, is that so we had to postpone the release from end of 24 to February 25, and for the longest time we were convinced that we are not able to hit 60 frames per second on consoles, and we're kind of already okay with the 30. Let's have it steady without like jumps and unbalanced frame rates, have something steady going on. But then due to the postponement, we were able, the code department that Prokop mentioned had this eureka moment where they all of a sudden really found a way and found tips and tricks and how to actually perform it in a way that we were able to hit the 60 frames per second. Why I'm telling you this is that these optimization that went into the consoles then also benefited the PC version, because it was not about scaling down like Prokop said, like putting less NPCs in there or whatever, make everything look ugly or whatnot, but more like finding clever code tricks how to make it more smoother, cleverer, whatnot. So at the end we had on the release day and ongoing, we had steady 60 frames per second on all the platforms, and on the PC was even far beyond that. So like, I think 120 and so on. So these different platforms don't do anything. Exactly like Prokop said, it's not easier because we're now using PS5 instead of PS4. It just gives you just another set of challenges. The baseline changes, but you can do a bit more than that. But you still have to have these like really different performances and all the hardware. So you have to do essentially the same work, just with different base stats. But they all benefit from each other. So I think that's the good news for gamers, at least KZD gamers.
Ash, what are we watching at the moment?
Right now, Henry's trying to figure out the best way to talk to Lord Burgov, and he's just got a lead that if he can get to a wedding, Lord Burgov might be there. But obviously, he smells like dung, he looks like a peasant, and he's not really flush with coins, so he doesn't really look like the right guy to get to a wedding, but he's figuring it out. Oh, that, and he's got to pay for his meal by moving some flour.
There's a funny story about that quest, or about that wedding you're trying to go to. So when we were thinking about review codes, the review codes were going out very early this year. They came out in January, so a month before the release of the game. And I was thinking, hey, we need to have some kind of, not progression blocker, of course not, but some like border, right? Hey, play until this part, and then because the idea was everyone gets the code on January 2nd or whatnot, or sometime in January, and then after a week they can talk about their first impressions, a preview of the review in a way. But I told them, hey, you cannot play further than this wedding quest, which is the 4th main quest, right? So I thought, hey, makes sense, 4th main quest, people will get there 10 hours or so, and then they will do their little preview. And I think none of us kind of expected was, well, it was in there, but no one expected that people would do that, actually, was that the whole open world around that, as KCD gives you the chance to really go wherever you want and do whatever you want, there were people playing like 60 hours or so, never going to that wedding. So they did all the side quests in Trotsky, met all the characters, did everything, but didn't progress in the main storyline, and then did their 70-hour preview or whatever, which was actually, you know what, at the end of the day it was actually cool because it showed you that it's a huge open world game, an RPG, you can do whatever you want, but it surprised us how invested people already got in January, and how much you can actually do in the game.
And we see that continuously from telemetry. You know, there's like a huge amount of people that just immediately they get to the open world. They just have to finish every little piece of side content before progressing the main story. There's so many people that spend even like 100 hours of playtime in that specific moment. Actually, last weekend we had like a grilling session with my friends, and there was a new guy, and he knew that I worked on KCD, and he said, listen, the second map is quite easy. You should do something with it. And I was asking, how did you get there? What level were you? And he said, well, I spent 300 hours in the first map, and the second is quite easy. And I said, well, fuck you too, man. What can I do?
Yeah, that is a common problem actually, when open world clashes with a story-driven RPG or a storyline. Because on one hand you have the open world, do whatever you want, do all the side quests, level up and so on. And since we don't scale the enemies with you as a player, there are games who do that. We decided not to do that. You can, of course, overpower yourself. It takes a while, of course. It's not like instant or something. But if, like Prokop's friend, if you're like spending 300 hours in the, it's not really a starting region, but let's call it the first map, then naturally you are stronger, right? Or if you decide to rob the armorer, to rob him blind, then you will have very strong armor, of course. So complaining about that is a bit weird, because you decide to do that and then you can use it or you cannot use it. But that's a design clash here between open world and the story-driven.
We also designed the game in a way that you start very weak, and a lot of systems will tell you that you're very weak. The game can be a little hard at the beginning, but it's intentional, because the game also gives you so many ways to improve yourselves that the progression should feel very rewarding, because you're really overcoming real problems. You're not just, you're not already a superhero at the beginning. But with some people, it seems like the progression is a little too rewarding, because they really do. They really want to not cheat the system, but overcome all the obstacles before progressing, which is fine. If they are, if they enjoy that, that's fine with us. But that was
I think the first map here, first 50 hours or so, are all about RPG, discovering, exploring systems, and so on. And I personally believe or think that the second map, then the Kuttenberg map, is much more about the deep story, plot twists, people getting killed, dark stuff, war, politics, and so on. So at the end, I think it's fine the way it is.
The story starts, and I will not spoil anything, don't worry guys. The story starts kind of small, but it really opens up on the second month. It gets way bigger. It starts very personal, with very basically basic task, but then it opens into, you know, politics, emperors, big sieges and everything. So it really sucks you in on the second month. I agree.
I'd love to know, because obviously you've got a very you've chosen to kind of, because Bohemia, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's olden Prague, right? Like that's correct-ish.
Well, it's more of a countryside, definitely.
Sure.
The first map, and most of the map is mostly countryside with castles, because there's castles everywhere here, but mostly countryside, little villages and castles here and there. Only on the second map there's the huge city of Kuttenberg, which is similar to Prague in a way.
Yep. With I guess with the designing this world, like what was kind of some of the favorite parts, like or favorite moments from designing this world, or like researching this world?
Everyone knows it's dangerous around Trotsky.
There's quite a lot of little things. I think especially the wedding we are talking about, the quest of wedding is really interesting, because it's a big event for the region, because there's nobility basically getting married. So it's a big event for the region. And we did, Zdeněk actually, our designer, Zdeněk Glass, what he did is there's a lot of people from the region, and you could have done a lot of quests for or with the people in the region. And they all acknowledge what you did with them. They like you in a different way. They either know you or don't know you. So there's a lot of complexity on the wedding, but it's really rewarding when you go there and there are people you knew and you talk together with about the things you did already. So it's kind of, I think, a favorite, or one of the favorite pieces of the game I like. But there's many others, just researching the castle of Trotsky. It's a really impressive thing. And what we did, which is kind of smart thing to do, this is your goal from the beginning of the game. As you can see, he's actually still trying to get there, or the conversation is basically about that. And you can't get to the castle for quite a long time. But the castle is in the middle of the map on a hill, and you can see it from every place in the map. So you always see it like goading you to go there, and you can't. And that's intentional. There's a lot of like places, for example, just the places to sit where you just sit there and you have the castle there teasing you.
Yeah. And
Awesome.
The countryside generally is also based on real locations, of course. So we all these villages and castles and places, they really exist in the today's Czech Republic. So we went there, we scanned them, we talked to the museums and the castellans and the archives and whatnot, to everyone who was taking care of those regions too. We actually did a huge amount of archaeological work here. Especially Trotsky Castle is completely destroyed today. It's a ruin today. But in 1403, where the game takes place, it's a brand new, just built castle. So we had to build it back into its look of 1403, and we had to do that, of course, going through archives, doing seeing old paintings and so on. And of course, working together with the people that are currently working. It's a state-owned castle, so we're currently working at the castle, and they are, as what they said, are really happy about how we reconstructed the place. Plus, it drove tourism like crazy. So they have an increase of over 500% of people going there compared to last year. So it's great that it casts these waves. And for the regions, We bought satellite height maps to rebuild kind of the elevations and everything, and also did a lot of field trips because those areas are roughly 1.5 hours or 2 hours by car away from the studio. So if we can, we packed the team and went like location scouting and seeing it with our own eyes, talking to the people and so on. So that was quite handy. But not everything is, of course, reconstructible. So we have to sometimes come up with our own interpretations. For instance, that is important for DLC 2, for the one that is coming very soon. In Kuttenberg, there's a huge tower, town hall, and it has an astronomical clock, which no one could tell us how it actually looked like. The city knows that there was a clock, an astronomical one, but there's no data, no pictures, no nothing about it. So we had to come up with our own, hey, how could it look like? We took inspiration from other famous ones here in the Czech Republic and then came up with our own this is how it could have looked like. And this follows us through the entire game. We have to see what's available, make it playable in a video game, because not everything that is realistic also makes sense in a game or is actually fun. So we had to outweigh realism versus fun gameplay a lot. But everything we displayed, I believe, should at least be plausible. So nothing is crazy out of place, nothing is completely alienating that thing. It sometimes is bent, of course, here and there, but it should be at least plausible and immersive.
How dare you speak?
Did you
Good timing, by the way. I'm watching the game, and you were able to stand your ground.
I didn't want to get knocked out straight away.
Just to add on to what Toby's saying, I'm just curious. I'm going to assume the answer is no, but just to test the realism and the fun factor, did anyone kind of get in that little guillotine kind of thingy there? The little what the characters in?
Stocks.
The stocks. Sorry.
So,
not guillotine.
we are talking to historians, of course, a lot. But historians usually don't want to tell us how it actually was. They tell us how it was not.
Okay.
So they tell us, no, this is not wrong, this is correct, this is not correct, and so on. They don't give us a precise answer usually. So we also talked a lot to reenactors, which often are the natural enemies of historians, because they often, not always, often, because reenactors try to use historical stuff and make it usable today with modern materials or whatever. But those people can tell you, for instance, how it feels like to be inside an armor, or how does it feel like to fight with a helmet, or how does it feel like to be stuck in a stock or whatever, because they are playing this, even though it's with modern terms in a way, they still can give you this user feedback in a way, and that is also very valuable. So people like reenactors told us how it feels to be inside the stock.
You really go indie with the research. When we research anything, and be it a geographical location or a custom, or theological custom, or the type of food they ate, the type of animals that actually live there, we really go in it. We feel like this is a differentiating factor of our game, and we're well aware of that, and we want to be as good as possible with this. We even do employ a lot of people. We employ are actual historians, or archaeologists, or something like that. And in any position you're applying for Warhorse, if you have any additional knowledge of history, it's a big plus. There's a lot of institutional knowledge inside the team. Not only do we approach people, but we have our own experts, full-time employees.
That's a really good point. So we have, of course, a historian in the team, but also people that are somehow involved into history, connected to history in a way, that they have worked in museums or something like that. We have sculptors working at Warhorse, architects working at Warhorse, real oil painters working at Warhorse. So a lot of non-video game related professions that decided, hey, how about we make a video game about something we like? So maybe that's one of the reasons why it took us 7 years to work on the game. Not because they are not, don't have the video game professions, but because they go extremely deep in their passion for whatever they are passionate for. So this architect dude was like, we have to make every house absolutely perfect, and there shouldn't be anything that is out of.
The houses are like, like their, for example, their roofs or the bearings of the wood. It's all like, it would work. It wouldn't crash down. And if something was a little weird, we had to change it, or not had to. We wanted to change it. So if you look at anything there, it will make sense. And the depth we go to is honestly absurd sometimes. But as I said, it's a thing that's different about our game. So we really want to do a good job in that.
Yeah, and there's so many little details that really you only appreciate if you are knowledgeable. So for instance, we try to find out and gather the information how the star map looked in the year 1403. So in the the KCD nights, when you look upwards, you see the info we found about how the stars were aligned in early summer 1403. So it's something you probably don't realize as a gamer, but the one astronomist, how do you call that? The one star fan, he will find out and he will be happy about it.
That one star enthusiast will look up and say, spot on.
Exactly.
We've seen a lot of cutscenes so far, and I know that there was a Easter egg or some kind where it was revealed to audiences that behind the camera we had like characters operating as a film crew. Was that only at the start of the game, or do we have those characters behind the camera doing more cutscenes throughout the game as well?
As far as I know, it was only at the start of the game, but the dev team, we started working on KCD2 with, I don't know, like maybe 130 people or so in 2019, and we released KCD2 with 250 people or so now in 2025. Now we are already almost 300, but what I'm trying to say is that all of those people got super unhinged when it came to Easter eggs. So I'm being asked very often, hey, did people already found all Easter eggs? And I can't answer that because I have no list of these Easter eggs. And the film crew is something that was found recent, and I had no idea at all. At first I thought it's like a Photoshop thing, and then found out that no, the cinematic team put it actually in there, but it's only in that moment there in the beginning and whatnot. So what I'm trying to say, there's tons of things everywhere, and it's we had to stop them sometimes.
Because this Easter egg you could only discover if you kind of hacked the game, because they were not in the scene of the actual cutscene. They were like behind what you see, the camera crew, or only after we released the photo mode. But when the department that did the cutscene department did the cutscene, they didn't even know there will ever be any photo mode in the game. So they just did it because they felt it's fun. And it is.
Do you know anything more about Tomcat?
Excellent.
They say he's a master swordsman, but a real joker too. He loves
Now,
singing
also,
girls.
with the inclusion of hardcore mode, which came out after release, that really turns the dial up on the simulation of KCD2. I'm sure you must be able to speak to anecdotally some stories you've heard either within the team or from community with relation to the success of the hardcore mode in telling immersive role-playing stories, whether they be funny or otherwise. Do you have any examples?
Not like specific personal examples about like a specific people, but there's always a big crowd of players of our games that really appreciate the realism. Not necessarily the immersion, that also definitely, but the mundane things or the grind, or they really wanted to like earn their progress and everything. They really want to get lost.
Flour. Yeah.
Exactly, for hours and hours, and they really want to get lost in the woods and finding their way out of the wood for 20 minutes. They really enjoy these things, and we always knew there's a sizable community. And for these people, we did the hardcore mode. If you really want to get lost in our game and in the Middle Ages, the hardcore mode is for you. And I especially like I was actually thinking back, like 6 years ago, whether we shouldn't make the map from hardcore mode as default. Because in hardcore mode, you can see the map, you can see all the markers on the map, you know where you should go regarding quests. But you don't know where you are. You don't see yourself on the map. By the things around. So, and if you go close to the marker, you can already see it on your compass as well. So you're not like completely lost. You don't have to find the specific people in a house and look into every nook and cranny. If you're close, you can see where you're supposed to go. But so you know that you're supposed to go to this village, but you have to know where you are. You have to orient yourself. And I think it's really cool, but it might be a little too hardcore for general audience.
Ash, are you playing on hardcore mode?
The hardcore is definitely something for like super RPG enthusiasts, but it was a very, very demanded thing. So the day of release, people were like already, okay, when is hardcore mode coming? I'm not playing without that. So, okay.
Oh, really? Well, wow.
Very funny.
So, Toby, you mentioned that there's a DLC. There's one already out, and there's one, and that was Brushes with Death?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
cool.
we have planned 3 DLCs. The first is out. It was the smallest of all of the 3s because at the beginning we had to balance the actual release of the game versus slowly starting working on the DLC. So because the release of the game had a bit of bigger importance. However, now with DLC 2 and DLC 3 also coming this year, those will be much bigger, and we are now preparing for next week Gamescom in Cologne, Germany, where we will be revealing the release date. Of course, it's very close. Show a trailer, and I will show gameplay of the DLC. It will be a DLC that takes place in the second map of KCD, so in the city of Kuttenberg. You are you're becoming part of the guild of the blacksmith in Kuttenberg, so you get your own shop in a way. There will be a very big storyline going on about the clock that I mentioned earlier, and you have a bit of a management thing going on there. It still remains the same kind of RPG that it is before, so don't overthink the management part, but it's, I believe, one of the most requested things of players, because in the first game in KCD1 you had the first DLC where you were kind of rebuilding a village, and they liked that a lot. So we thought, how can we make it cooler, bigger, better, thought through, and so on. So yeah, you get your own place that is completely run down, and you have to get it up back on its feet, back to business, kind of.
Basically, the tempo of additional patches and content and free content is also something that we feel like is our strong side. With KCD1, we really managed to put like a lot of work to improve the game a lot, and our community appreciated that a lot. So we wanted to repeat that. We really want to. We dedicated basically the whole studio, almost a year of a whole studio, to just do content for the game after release. And the space is really aggressive. We are releasing a DLC basically every 3 months after release. So it's quite a lot of work. But
we also try to add something for free always. So
with every
DLC premium stuff, of course, for money. But every DLC, as of now, has always something that comes along that is for everyone. The first DLC had the horse races, I believe, and archery contest. The second one, I forgot. Oh yeah, a better photo mode is coming. An overhauled photo mode is coming. Some quality of life improvements are coming. So that's cool.
Yep, exactly.
I really love I have a bit of a thing for maps. Not like I don't go out and buy maps of places, but like video game maps. I really love when a map looks really, really cool. And that map that's in front of the Ash is playing right now is phenomenal. I love the little cloud, well, not little clouds, but like love the clouds and stuff and how you kind of can't. Yeah, it looks.
The fog of war is really involved. I also love that Henry's like a little piece on a board moving around.
Like a pawn.
Yeah.
And when you turn him...
Hand painted, the maps, of course. And they should be as detailed as it can get. It doesn't look like it, because they look like cartoonish, but if you look close to it, they're like extremely detailed. The maps, those city maps of village... Oh, that's the dude you gave him
I know, look at Mari still produced, mate.
Yeah, and it's also another detail that we added. And it's just some guard, so most of the players will never meet him. You are quite lucky to actually meet him. But one of the guards in the villages will have this like black eye.
But the style of the maps is of course inspired by 15th century illustrations. So this is how often they painted maps in books and these kind of things. So the style again is inspired from real pictures.
Maybe just a little comment of what Ash did in the gameplay. You know, the guard like commented on his, I don't know what it was, just some random comment or whether he dirty or something. Yeah, we added a system that kind of doesn't have like a huge gameplay meaning, where you just can reply to people or talk with people about mundane stuff. And that's another like way of ours to make the game more immersive, or to feel it a little bit more real. You know, there's, you know, Ash insulted him, which lowered his reputation a little bit, but it doesn't really make a big impact. The designing reason behind this is that, you know, the world should feel more like immersive and like reactive. Responsive and reactive. And there's a lot of these like little systems that don't really have any like big meaning behind it. It only like empowers the world and the game to feel a little bit more colorful, let's say.
I'd love to ask about the DLC. So Kingdom Come 1 came out in 2018. When did you guys start working on that?
On the first game?
Yeah.
Well, on the second game.
First game.
First game. Well, that's a very difficult question. So, because it has several layers.
Sure.
So, Warhorse was founded in 2011, but the idea of KCD was born before the studio was created. So, between 2011 and 2014, those 3 years, was a lot of prototyping, vertical slices, and so on, trying to find a publisher, trying to find funding and whatnot. So theoretically, you could say that the work started there somewhere, of course. But in 2014, we went on Kickstarter. That was a sink or swim situation. If that would have failed, then there would never be any KCD1 at all. So after that successful Kickstarter, I'd say the real work, because pretty much everything before was really prototyping. I think the real work on KCD1 started between 2000. That's also when most of the people were hired. Prokop, myself, and so on. The studio all of a sudden grew from, I don't know, 10 to 40 or so. 2014 till 2018, 4 years. And the work on KCD2 started, of course, there were some departments that started some smaller tasks and whatnot, but the entire studio shifted towards KCD2 in 2019 after the last DLC.
Yeah. So you've basically been with Henry for about 10 years. So for Prokop and for yourself, Toby, what's been one of the most exciting things about the DLCs, because they do allow you to kind of utilize the same world and everything that you've built, but with different characters and stories?
Well, with the DLCs, well, as you said, it allows us to experiment a little bit with stuff. So usually what I like about DLCs is adding new systems that didn't get into the first game, or try quests that are a little bit different. So yeah, with the first game, the From the Ashes was really challenging but rewarding, where you had to rebuild the village. And with the second game, I think the first DLC was very good. I think it's like quite good, and there's the mechanic of painting your shields. But it's a smaller DLC because it was like closer to the release of the game. But this one, the second one, I think will be very well liked because the the mechanic about getting your own place and improving it, and getting a prestigious position in the city is something very new and something a little experimental. But I think it's shaping up to be really, really great addition to the game.
Awesome. Nathan, have you played the first one?
We had a different challenge also. With KCD1, we didn't... So we had two sink or swim situations. One was the Kickstarter itself, and then it was the release of the game. Because if that would have failed as well, then we started thinking and working on the DLCs after we saw that KCD1 is actually successful. So it took a while before we got the confidence to start on working on DLCs. Now with KCD2, we were much more confident beforehand, of course, and said, hey, this most likely will be good. At least okay with the backing of the first game in the background, so we could think of them much earlier with the DLCs. What I think is interesting is that all the DLCs are bringing something unique and cool to the game, something that is not out of the ordinary, but something that breaks the regular cycle of the game. And I think people do appreciate that a lot. By the way, good fight there. You did something really good. You got some early armor and everything. Yeah.
That was an event, and you were a little bit unlucky. Well, unlucky, because two bandits spawned, and it's pretty hard. The one that was armored with a shield is harder to beat.
With a shield?
Yeah.
That was my first shield.
By the way, now it's a bit too early for you, probably. It's a bit early for you, probably, but you can, if you open the inventory again, you can change the outfits. Now you see the red shield, right? That's the current outfit you have selected, and if you push O, yeah, that's the yellow one, and then you can and a green one, and you can later on, if you feel like it, have, for instance, a combat outfit, a dialogue outfit, and a stealth outfit, or something like this. And this is one of the quality of life improvements between KCD1 and KCD2. You can still not change your outfit mid-combat, but you can at least better prepare for the task if you go somewhere, right?
Get a wash. Man about town outfit.
When we were testing the game, like half a year before release, we had like a focus group in our offices. And we were asking for this feature about how often do they need to clean themselves, and if it's annoying or if it's fine. And one of the testers said, well, when I go to kill people, I put all my clothes off, so I don't get like blood on my clothes. And he said, okay, that's smart. And you're also probably a psychopath, but okay.
Yeah, that was super fun. Super fun. This dude who went rampage and always got naked before.
He just he was nakedly going on killing spree because he didn't want to get his clothes bloody.
Fight's like an Australian, might I say. If you're really throwing down at the pub, you're going to take your clothes off first. So,
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. People do, like, even in hockey, the gloves come off, the shirt goes up.
Yeah. I don't know if he's I think he might be onto something.
I mean, he doesn't end up like me right now. Like, I need to have a wash.
Ash, do you have any questions that you've got in your mind while you've been playing? Anything?
One of the things that I found really interesting about the game so far is that you're not afraid to lean into the fantasy of certain systems. Like, when I first did Alchemy, I was floored at the fact that you tell me quite openly, take the cauldron, lower it onto the heat, let it bubble, turn the hourglass over to actually get an idea of how much time you're spending on it. It's a really crunchy, dense, chewy system that really feels like super immersive, but also really engaging. Was that something that you immediately thought, like, if we want people to engage with these systems, they should feel real? Or was it just, did it come naturally with the world?
it was like a design principle we worked from the beginning, and it contains two things basically. You're talking about two things. One is like the intricacies of the minigames, but maybe more interesting and easier to explain system is the physicality of it. We always knew that you have to touch the world to feel it believable. So when we are designing minigames, for example, we don't do any UI minigames. We want you to touch things. And it's not only in minigames, when you are opening doors, you really touch the handle. That's intentional. And it caused a lot of troubles for us because, the doors can be on a different height, you can approach the doors from a different angle. So it causes a lot of problem. It takes quite a lot of work to make it work. But it's our design principle. You have to touch everything you do because otherwise it doesn't feel immersive enough. And I see you like the...
I love details in the world, and I love seeing things that just feel like they're supposed to be there. I love seeing things interact with the world, so the piggy right there was top-notch for me.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm heading off to find out what happened to my dog. I understand that I have much bigger things to be working on, such as, I could equate myself with some of the people that are here, but you had a moment at the start of the game where I had to win at dice to get a sausage to feed my dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a lot of effort into getting that sausage, and now I'm very interested in what happened to my dog because the dice games were not kind to me at all.
Did you find a secret stash near there?
I found the weighted dice.
Yeah.
Was there
There
more?
was like a little alcove like behind that, and there's actually like a die that you can loot that will help you with the dices. But there's also like a little cheat basically. We let to be in the game that if you like stash your items in there in the stash, you will not lose them because of the story moments. Yeah.
Oh wow! So I mean that requires forethought
them
though.
because sometimes will progress and bandits will spawn there, so they will steal some of it. But you can and it's also another little thing we have in the game. There's like there's this intricate system where actual people in the game, they will loot things and they will equip them if it like fits their style. And they really do. You can try it in the village. If you have like some ordinary clothes, you can drop them beside a villager. He'll pick them up, and if it fits his, type of equipment, he'll equip it.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the game that's it. It's really complex and it's hard to do, but the game is filled with these little details. As I said, because we believe the player base actually appreciates these things. They don't just want to like slash sword and fast travel to the next objective. They really enjoy exploring the world and also the systems.
That's a really good point that you kind of bring up, and you guys have talked about it a bit before about the community. And Warhorse seems like it's very connected with its community. How much do you kind of lean on the community for feedback and to kind of see if something does work? I assume they're somewhat important to the early process of whether something may or may not work.
Somewhat is an understatement. We lean heavily for the community feedback. We have obviously just the communities on the internet, which we regularly go through and read and and interact in a way. But we also have our dedicated community mostly on Discord. And from that community, we even invite some people to our closed community with which we share early builds, early tests, and we discuss with them some ideas. So we do lean heavily in the community. Yeah.
That's good. That's awesome.
So, Warhorse has released or shown the cinematic cut for Kingdom Come Deliverance II, where they've compressed so much of the game into sort of a feature film length. Based on sort of the response to that, does the team have a desire or hope in future that they might be able to do something like that again down the track? Maybe iterate on that, but again, try for another kind of cinematic cut in future, whatever that might mean or look like.
You
maybe roll back a tiny little bit. So here in the Czech Republic, we have the KVIFF, which is the Karlovy Vary International Film Festival. So it's just essentially one of the maybe top 10 or top 15 or so film festivals in the world. And they reached out to us because KCD is kind of a big thing here in the Czech Republic. They reached out to to see if we can somehow connect the video game world and the movie world, and they asked if we can do something. And KCD has 6 hours of cutscenes or something like that, and so we decided that this is too much to compress into 1.5 hours or so movie. So we decided that we are only taking the cutscenes, and of course we can also only spend so much time on a huge task like that. So we decided that we'll take the cutscenes here from the first map, put them together, polish them in a little bit, like dramaturgically, add some gameplay in between, because not everything is explained by cutscenes, of course. So sometimes there need to be some kind of in-game stuff in there. And then put it together into this 90 minutes movie, or 2 hours movie actually almost, and put that on cinema. So it's not a movie about KCD, it's also not a movie with like actors playing or replaying KCD or something like that, but it's really essentially the cutscenes just put together into like one lengthy video. So for what it was supposed to be, I think it was great. It did what it was supposed to do. Of course, if you were expecting a movie with actors and whatnot, then that's not what you got at the end. But I mean, why not? With KCD1 already, we had ideas, or that we were approached by some Netflix execs about getting a license of KCD. I think the franchise has potential to be on screens in a series or in a movie or something, but we ourselves are not focusing on that. We are game developers, we do video games, and unless someone from the outside comes and wants to do it, then it won't happen, at least not from our end.
Would you have a preference whether you would love to see it as a show or a movie? Do you think it would work better on either platform or format? Sorry, I should say.
I don't know. I think a movie would be great, because I personally like movies more than series. But then there's also this philosophical question, like if you would you like to have a movie about the game, like see the same thing again but in a movie, or would you have something that is from the universe, maybe with some other characters, maybe some with characters we know from the game? So it's a difficult question, and definitely not something I can answer well.
And exactly, and making a game, like, obviously, but even like making a story of a game is very different from making a story for a movie or a TV series. TV series is a little bit closer, but still quite far. You know, the games have vastly different stories. There are like cinematic elements that are very similar, but overall the story arcs and the individual stories and the characters and even the dialogues are very different. The medium is just different. So I don't think that it would be easy, or I wouldn't even recommend anybody to do just the same story just in like a movie, for example. It would feel weird. If there's ever any TV show or any movie, I think it would be better if we did something from like the lore or about the characters in the game, but their stories before or after or during or something like that. But it's just my personal opinion, and as Toby said, we are game developers. People, me especially, we know how to make games. We really just want to make cool games that cool people are playing.
So you guys are working on the DLC now. There was a word thrown about called projects, and in the future, is Kingdom Come something that you would love to continue working on further into the future, or would you love to try something else? just from a general point of view?
Yes, of course. So it so KCD is a success, of course. It's a established IP. However, in big studios, you start to have the problem that at some point, if you get too big, you need to get the troops all occupied with something, right? And not everyone can work simultaneously on the product. So, and also there's something that something can happen that your devs get fatigued at some point if they do the same thing over and over again. At this point, we don't know yet where the ship sails to, what's next on the radar, on the horizon. But the one thing I mentioned that earlier already that we can guarantee is that we absolutely definitely want to do more RPGs, more immersive story driven RPGs. This is where we feel home. I read a review about KCD2 where some journalists wrote that it feels like Warhorse picked up the RPG torch that someone left on the ground. And I like that quote, actually. And I think we want to establish Warhorse Studios as a guarantee for great RPG experience. So that is what we're definitely doing next. What kind of topic it will be, if a submarine simulation RPG or something, or medieval or fantasy or space or football manager,
with zombies.
Who knows?
Excellent. Well,
we will let you know. That is something we can also guarantee. The moment the studio is kind of happy with it, and the moment we have a precise plan, we will make sure to announce that and talk to the people, as this community first approach is something that drove us forward, and yeah.
Awesome. Looking forward to seeing what is next. We've only got a few minutes left, a couple minutes there. So, Nathan, do you got any further questions you'd love to throw to these handsome gentlemen?
I wish I did. I don't. I'm just very much excited to see what's next, because it's very clear to me, having finished this, there's more stories to be told here, DLC aside, and inclusive. So, yeah, I'll leave it with a comment rather than a question. I'm delighted to have had you folks. I'm delighted to have spent time with this game. So, thank you, and very keen to see more.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Definitely, it's great to see that KCD is still being relevant and that people still are interested in it. We talked about the awards in the beginning of this show. We want to stay humble, as I said. We are, of course, eyeballing the RPG awards. That is where we would love to be, at least the front runners. But yeah, KCD 2 had a great year. We are very grateful and humble, and yeah.
Excellent. I mean, you've got some tough competition, but even if you were just, if you were nominated and you were on the shortlist, that would be an amazing achievement. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, Ash. You ready to...
You've been gallivanting around Bohemia while we chat for an hour.
I mean, I could have just pulled that bloke off his horse, but he was so polite to me.
I saw you considering that. And if you weren't on the screen, you would do that. I know that.
People are going to watch this. They're going to know.
Yeah.
Excellent.
As far as I'm concerned, look, I knew nothing about this game. I was dragged into it and told, you're the sacrificial guinea pig. You need to play this game you never played before, and you've got to do it in front of the people that made the game. And I was shitting myself. But I think it's fantastic. Long after this video has ended, I'm going to be playing this game for hours. And I'm pretty sure my wife is sick of hearing me talk about it. But that's what she got when she married me.
Thank you, honestly. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, yeah, Prokop and Toby, thank you so much for joining us here. It's been a pleasure. It's been great fun. I hope you've had some fun, and it was something a bit different, kind of watching someone play the game. Yeah, we had lots of fun, and looking forward to
I did my best.
You were actually pretty good.
You beat 2 bandits.
Yeah.
3, technically.
We're looking forward to seeing what comes out of Gamescom.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, cool.
Gamescom.
Perfect. All right, for everyone else, thank you for listening to this episode of WellPlayed Talkthrough. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.